Health officials issuing a warning tonight after a highly contagious disease surfaced while a traveler was passing through a nearby airport. Sophia Gurney is live in studio with those details. Good evening, Sophia.
Yeah, Steve, a case of measles has been confirmed from a traveler who was passing through the Washington Dulles International Airport last week.
Outbreaks of measles do often occur when somebody travels abroad and returns to the U.S. while sick.
The most recent example of that is someone at Dulles who's tested positive for measles, and the concern now is, did they spread it?
Measles is a highly contagious viral illness that can spread easily through the air when an infected person breathes, coughs, or sneezes.
The person with measles was in the airport Tuesday, August 12th, between 1 and 5 in the afternoon.
The Virginia Department of Health did release a news release with information on the exposure locations so that people can identify themselves if they think they might have been exposed. We are also working to identify and contact all individuals who were on the affected flights directly.
Measles is slow to show itself in someone who has been exposed. So for now, the state health department is watching and waiting.
We have not identified any additional cases at this time. This is kind of the early part of the incubation period, which means that we are still monitoring people who might develop symptoms.
Rich says that if you are unsure about your immunity status, now is a great time to reach out to your healthcare provider and check that you have had your MMR. Live in the studio, Sophia Gurney, 29 News at 5.